It's not on Facebook. That's on Facebook.
You want to check it too? Time now being 5:03. This meeting is now called to order. And we are going to ask Comrade Adrian Bascom to please say a few words of praise on our behalf.
Pleasant evening to all. Let's all shut our eyes, please. Dear Lord, I just want to thank you for bringing each and every one of us here to this humble place. I pray, Lord, that if there are some that are still coming, that you will bring them here safely, and that you, when this is finished, that you will take us home safely. I pray, Lord, even for those that may be in pain, that may be going through some kind of, whatever it is, Lord, that you will continue to touch them, and let your Holy Spirit continue to guide this great Democratic Labor Party and our leader. Bless the words that will come from her mouth, whatever will come from this table. Let your guidance prevail over it. I ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Very good. Thank you, Comrade Bascom. Let me welcome each and every one of you here this evening. I should say that I extend a hearty welcome to each and every one of you, especially to those who have journeyed from outside of St. John. We know that Sunday evenings is a day that people like to relax and spend time home with the family, friends, etc., socializing, maybe catching up on a little rest and what's not. So we want to thank you for sacrificing your time to be here with us this evening. And we hope that you would feel free to participate in the discussion this evening. But once again, I welcome you and thank you very much for being here. The excuses we have is Damian Maskell and Paul Watson, two members of the, first I should have introduced you to the executive. My name is Dale Worrell. I'm the chairperson for this year 2021-2022. On my right is Deputy Chair Dean Howell. Secretary is Mr. Kevin Miller. Treasurer is Damian Maskell, who's not here. Assistant Secretary Treasurer, Debbie Worrell. And the floor members, Diana Bailey, drawing the temperature and spraying the hands. Paul Watson, he unfortunately cannot be here either. And Cameron Holder. This is a new executive that was recently voted into place as recent as 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Right. For 2021-2022. Right, as I was saying, the excuses are Damian and Paul. We have no minutes of the last meeting, so we skip those other two agenda items. And the plans for the year July 2021 to June 2022. We are looking at, and this will not be all the plans that we are having, so we are going to encourage we're going to ask anybody who may have ideas of any activity, well, especially the residents of St. John, if they have any ideas of activities, suggestions, anything, they can feel free to offer them to us. But these are just some of the ideas we have for the year. We are looking at doing a retreat for the well, especially the executive, but we are going to extend it to also the branch members. A venue and a date is yet to be decided. Um, the purpose of that retreat will be to build relations within the not only the community but the executive first, and then the community. Because at that retreat, what we want to do also is we are going to do it in a community that have obviously a lot of residents living, so that at that activity part of our plan is that we will go out and introduce ourselves to the community and invite them probably the evening time to a social, and we are hoping to have some training sessions going on for the members of the executive and for the batch members as well. We are looking at doing, well, I mentioned that before, we're looking at doing some socials in terms of like linemen at a shop, linemen at a bar. Obviously, these will be within the confines of St. John. So, oh yeah, protocol will be observed also at the retreat and at the socials or the lives that we will have. If you have any idea of any bar or shop, any of those venues that you think that a lot of people don't get to, or that a lot of people don't hear of, or is relatively unknown, please feel free to let us know. We want to hold the social and the lives at these different places. If you have any ideas about making socials and lives, more enjoyable, feel free to share those ideas also. We're looking at fundraising. One of the areas in which we raise fundraising is through cake sales, but not the traditional cake sale as to be selling just cakes. We are looking at probably doing like fish cakes, butter and sauce, maybe conkeys, sugar cakes. Pardon? Right. And we're also looking at doing raffles as well and sponsor walks. Again, if you have any ideas of any fundraising activity that you think can be useful, please feel free to share. Any ideas, any suggestions, any opinions y'all may have, please feel free to share them. And no ideas, no suggestions are silly or too small for us to look at. Please feel free to share them. We would have met already as the executive, but would have done that through a Zoom meeting. One of the things we look at is to decentralize our meetings. And what I mean by decentralizing is instead of having meetings in this general area, like at the St. John Church where we are here right now, this is called the Gill and Gallop Center, or as opposed to the areas of garden. Because in the past, people would have been complaining that those Gar Hill and only this immediate vicinity seems to be the only places that the branch know and what's not. So we're looking at decentralizing our meetings where we can spread out in a number of communities in St. John. Again, if you have any ideas of community centers in St. John, venues in St. John, any place in St. John where we can hold meetings, please feel free to share those ideas with us. They will be very welcome. And as I said, if you have any ideas of any fundraising activities, socials that we can do, please feel free to share them. The next item on the agenda will be a general council report. All right, there will be no general council report today because the two reps from general council from last executive isn't here.
I propose that report be deferred.
Deferred? Okay, the report will be deferred. Seconded, Dan Howell. The next item on the agenda is the report by candidate Andrea Royal. Report by the candidate Mr. Andrea Royal.
All right, good evening to everyone. And I am glad to see the numbers here at this St. John DLP branch meeting. As the chairman Dale would have mentioned, it's my opportunity to give a report since being selected as the candidate for St. John in February this year. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the members of the branch, the party executive and general council who would have supported and ratified the candidate selection. I am indeed thankful for the opportunity to go out there to meet and greet with the constituents of St. John, and also to give of my best to one day become the next representative for St. John to work. I can tell you that I have been out in the field from the time the nomination was done, because remember when the nomination was done, we were under the lockdown period. But as soon as those restrictions were lifted, that you could move around a little bit more freer from March, I was out in the field canvassing, and he should be somewhere here in the room, Cameron's holder at the back there. That is my main canvas person. So as long as I am doing canvassing, I always make sure that Cameron is there with me, and we will go into the communities. We also have Dan as well, who's the vice chairman of the branch. He comes and he will join us. Paul, I'm not sure if Paul is here at the meeting this evening, but Paul Watson, and Diana Bailey, who is there by the door. Those are my usual canvassing crew. And each of them have a responsibility in terms of that canvassing crew, and they do an excellent job in terms of going into the communities, meeting persons, introducing and stuff like that. And this is how we are going about it, because we recognize the need to start rebuilding relationships with the people in St. John. They're very much still keen on working with the Democratic Labour Party, but you know what? St. John had two excellent representatives before, Barrow and Thompson. And from what I hear from people, those two representatives built relationships with the person, and they knew that whatever the situation was, they would have their back. Because it was not just a matter of coming to ask for a vote, but it was more so a matter of coming to learn who it is that I am canvassing, who lives in this house, what makes up this house, who are the people, how do they earn a living, how the education system, what are their needs, how can, not only what I can do to assist them, but the beautiful thing with St. John people, they will tell you what they can do to help you. Amen. And that is the beautiful thing in terms of St. John people and the relationships that we have been cultivating over the period of time during our canvassing. We started on the outskirts of St. John in areas such as Kendall, which was the first area that we canvassed. Why we chose that area? Because if those of you who know St. John would know that Kendall is a little bit off the beaten path in St. John. Their Kendall and College Savannah, basically, their bus routes don't pass through St. John. So you might ask a young person in St. John, you know where Venture is? In College Savannah, you know where Venture is? They don't know because their bus route, instead of passing through St. John, goes through St. Philip. So they will know about Bailey's and all of those other areas more so than they know about Venture, which is just down the road from here, and Clifton Hall, which is just below the hill. Right? So we started in those areas because we wanted to build those relationships with those people and let them know, look, you too are part of St. John, and we embrace you. We want to work with you. You have a unique and special part to play in the constituency. And those relationships were pretty good with those areas. Unfortunately, it was one of the areas I call it Savannah in particular, was one of the areas I spent a lot of time in after the freak storm and also Hurricane Elsa, because quite a few houses were damaged in that area. It's probably the one area in St. John where you had the most damage in terms of houses, both from the freak storm and also from Hurricane Elsa, with rooftops being blown off. People completely lost their homes, but thankfully those houses are there in the process. What they would have done is gone through the area, collected the information and see what assistance was needed and make sure that the names and the contact information got to the right people, right? So those two areas, called Savannah, Kendall, also Martins Bay, Foster Hall, in those areas, especially with the freak storm, you had a lot of damage in Zores, Martins Bay, and Foster Hall areas. So those are areas that have been as well. Massage Street. With the president, we did visit a house in Massage Street a couple weeks before the storm, and unfortunately, that was one, two that would have been damaged after the storm. And thanks to the support of members from the party as well, we were able to provide direct assistance to that family. And they're just, when last I spoke to them, they were almost ready in terms of getting the repairs done to the home, and everything should be on track with them, right? But good to see that St. John people are looking out for each other and helping, because when you went around after the storm, you saw the members of the community basically giving the assistance and helping to, if you needed to put back on some galvanized on the roof, they were already doing that. Persons who would have lost their paling, they would have already putting that up. People, house their neighbors for the night or so forth, over that period of time. So that community spirit is still alive and well, not just in St. John, but I believe you would have had the same thing all throughout the Barbados as well. Now, with the branch, we would have discussed this, and I think you would have heard Dale mention it in his report, that the branch of itself wants to go around, take this branch meeting to other parts of the constituencies. So we would look at places like Kendall as a place to have a branch meeting. We already have a plan for Martins Bay and the Zores area, how we will deal with that. I will not let all these secrets out of the bag, but the branch members will know first, and then hopefully we will invite the rest of you once COVID, once we keep the numbers for the COVID low. We are hoping that we will be able to do a lot more things in terms of building that spirit and relationship, because we really need to understand what it is that we are truly about as a party, as a people. And by being able to socialize and mingle, and you learn a little bit more about Diana, you learn a little bit more about Cameron, Paul or any of the branch members about Mona. It will help us in terms of being able to understand what it is that we can do for persons. From canvassing Zors, there was a project in agriculture which I wanted to do. And one of the logistics of the project, I wanted to find out who I could get to do it. And then when I was in Zor, someone took me up to their house. You have to do a little bit of hiking in order to get there. But Dale was with me. And everything that the person used in the house is built from recycled material. So I asked them there and then if they would be able to work with me on this agricultural project that I will be doing. So he said, "Man, not a problem. All I will have to do is to get the wire for him, and they will do everything else." Since then, we have been talking. He showed me the designs and stuff like that, and so when you have ideas, you just go around. And the beautiful thing about canvassing and getting to know the people in your constituency, you just go around, you talk to the right people. So this project will be 100% St. John project, with all of the work being done by persons from St. John in terms of the construction. It will assist young people, housewives, and everyone with the distribution of the product to them. And then it will translate into developing a network and a market as well. Because that is one thing that we constantly hear. We need to start empowering more Black business, and we need to start finding ways for people to reduce the cost of living in terms of their food bill, their costs, and developing more business. Dane is an expert in this, and Paul is an expert in this. Believe that we need to start spending amongst ourselves and start generating community wealth. That's what we need to do. So that if I know that you are a carpenter and I have a job that requires a carpenter, you're the first person that I will call. If you know that I am a baker and you require bread, you get your salt bread from me or your sweet bread or whatever the case from me. That is the vision that we have in terms of empowering community business and empowering persons within community, and start building that economic base within the community and within families, so that it does not necessarily leak out. But if we can build it and circulate it amongst ourselves, we can do a whole lot more in terms of helping each other. And that is the focus that where we have. And then if you know that your neighbor may need some help in terms of back to school clothes and stuff like that, there are needed workers that we can call on that might be able to assist. And you do those things. Those are the sort of work that we are looking to do. When we were looking to put together hampers, I got information from persons who tell me, but I do this, I grow this and stuff like that. So even a couple of weeks ago, one of the community organizations, they were putting together a hamper. We were able to supply them with names of get produce from persons within the community to help to do that hamper. So that instead of you having to run outside of the area for assistance, you can get more of that assistance from within. These are the things that we need to do, not just to build up the community, but imagine if we translate it on a national level to build up the nation. That we need to start generating small businesses, cottage industries. As a spokesperson for agriculture, you will hear me speak about this often. Our vision for agriculture is not just to cultivate the basic raw material like the sugar cane, but we also want to take it the extra length in terms of the production out of that. We would have seen during COVID the number of persons who have turned to vending, not just vending produce, but also juices. All of these natural juices, where do they come from? They have an agricultural base. And if we can get it to that level where you add quality and value to the raw material and you get a higher price, this will help to boom business in Barbados, because then it moves from the door-to-door selling of the juice, the bottled juice, So you package them in cartons and you get them in the supermarkets, and those same packages and cartons we can get to export out of Barbados. Once they have the adequate shelf life, export them out of Barbados. Sometimes when we go in the supermarket, and this is something that I will always say, I've been into Shop Smart and I saw coconut water from Fiji. Why can't we sell coconut water from Barbados to Fiji as well, all over the world? Why can't we sell cucumber and ginger drinks, all of which can be locally grown and produced? You know, the condiments, like our seasonings and stuff like that, go the extra mile. Barbados seasoning should be known all over the world. Everybody in here knows about jerk seasoning, right? Where's that from? So it means that they have obviously done the work in terms of the marketing of it, because we associate jerk seasoning with Jamaica. So now we have to associate, we need to link our seasoning with something that it can be associated with all over the world. That persons will be, you know, one of the few companies that made billions of dollars in profit during the lockdown period was Amazon. You could sell Barbados seasoning and hot sauce on Amazon. And a number of persons should be there selling those things, right? And that means that you will keep your business for if the country lockdown and you can't go into the supermarket, you can buy it on Amazon. You can get it delivered to you in Barbados via Price World or any of those home delivery networks. All of those things that we have to use to our advantage to keep business going. And those are the plans that we have. In terms of sporting within the community, because of COVID, we were a little bit uncertain as to what we could really do, but we already started the plans, and now we recognize that you can do one or two things. We will try to put together some of those activities. The first that you will always think about is football, will be a football match, but because of COVID, there are still restrictions on that. Just had a road tennis match, so we can go about possibly having road tennis in different areas. We've already started to talk to persons about that and setting those up in the different communities. The ones, Kendall, College Savannah, Foster Hall, Sargent Street, Massage Street, all of those areas, even in Sherborne where I live, we intend to bring those activities once we get the go-ahead to move ahead with those things. And of course, to the members of the branch and to the wider members of the Democratic Labour Party, I will be calling on you for your support, inviting you to these activities to come out and give your assistance as well. Right, so I want to say thank you for the opportunity, and you can look forward for me hitting the pavement running. I have already started to do this, building the relationships with the people of St. John. They know of me because I am from St. John. I have been working in the community before. Many of them have heard in terms of me being the spokesperson for the party when I go. I know you. I know who you are. A familiar voice, if not necessarily a familiar face, and then we start the conversation from there. So that is what I have been out doing from the time the nomination became secure. I intend to continue to bring home this victory for the Democratic Labour Party. The St. John seat, which holds a lot of pride and means a lot to the people of St. John. We had two outstanding representatives, Barrow, because most people know it as Barrow's seat. And then we had David Thompson, who's resting in the graveyard just behind us. And building on what they have done, I intend to model them and be a representative which is similar and could walk in their footprint and represent the people of St. John to the best of my ability to make sure that they get their full portion of the economic rights in Barbados. I am a St. John person, and I am proud of St. John, and no one could ever get me to turn from that. And it is because of that that I am striving to be the next representative for St. John whenever the election bell is called. We have a lot of work to do, and I intend to bring each and every of you along with me on that journey so that we can get that work done. And I thank you very much for being here this evening. And also thanks to the president as well, Verla de Pisa, for her support, because I am telling you, that support has been unwavering. It has come with some nudges, and I'm telling you, this is someone that is capable. She has done conference. I'm not going to steal her thunder because she will talk about what she has accomplished. But when it comes to annual conference and you go down to George Street, you will see transformation.
That's right.
And Verla de Pisa has held this shit together. She has got persons to come out and work. And you know the thing that I like about her is that she listens. We might not always be in agreement with everything, correct? But I can tell her, well, I didn't quite like this, and she can also tell me that that is a good relationship to have.
Correct.
Where you can work with people and together you can encourage and help to build. Because you know what we're doing this for? We are doing this here in the interest of the Democratic Labour Party, because the Democratic Labour Party has a mandate to make Barbados the best place for people. So it is not done out of selfishness. It is not done out of pride. It is not done out of ego. It is not done because you think that you are the only person who can do it. It is done because we recognize that we are servants who are willing to be used to make this party better. Make Barbados a better place to live. That is our goal, and that is why we work together. So I thank you, Verla de Pisa, for giving me that opportunity as well.
All right, thank you, comrade. Thank you, comrade Andrea Worrell. And you can be rest assured that you have our support in this branch. As we also this seat from the Barbados Labour Party. And believe me, this seat will be coming back to sit to the Democratic Labour Party. And the governor as well. Okay, it gives me great pleasure now to introduce our featured speaker, Ms. Verla de Pisa. Verla de Pisa was educated at Harrison College and was a 1991 Barbados Exhibition Award. She completed her tertiary education at the University of Southampton, where she gained a Bachelor of Science degree in politics and law with upper second class honors.
That's right.
You're welcome to applaud that. These are two separate degree designations, and critical to the study of politics was the application of economic principles to the ordering of society. Her dissertation, for which she received first class honors. was entitled Controlling Drugs Trafficking in the Caribbean. Further education was undertaken at the Queen Mary College of the University of London, where she achieved merit in a Master of Laws degree, specializing in criminology and criminal justice.
Amen.
The courses of study included policing and police policy and crime control. Although she does not practice in the field, Verda is a trained criminologist.
Amen.
Ms. DePisa is qualified to practice in England and Wales since 1996. However, she chose instead to return to her beloved Barbados. 3 weeks after her return to these shores, she joined the Charlton Chambers located in Wickpat Road, St. Michael, where she remains in general practice to this day, having been called to the bar in 2000.
Amen.
Ms. DePisa was a candidate in the Christchurch West constituency for the Democratic Labour Party on 2 separate occasions. She also chaired a National Insurance Board Severance Tribunal for 10 years from 2008. As public service, Ms. DePisa was a presenter on CBC Legal Matters. She has held several offices both in the Young Democrats and in its parent party, the Democratic Labour Party, and is the current president of the Democratic Labour Party and mother of 2 teenagers. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Ms. Verla DePisa.
Thank you very, very much, comrades. I will speak to you generally for a little bit whilst the camera crew does whatever it is that they need to do over there. The first thing that I want to say is that I wish to apologize for there not being a team and quite frankly, 3 years is way too long. For too long now, our people have been following instructions and watching when we really and truly ought to be thinking and doing. There is no way that our founding father, Errol Barrow, spent time and vision to educate our people to simply sit back and watch as people pull wool over our eyes. That is not what the Democratic Labour Party sees when it looks at our people. It is not what the Democratic Labour Party expects as we continue to work towards the development of our people and our country, and it is most assuredly not what Barbados needs at this particular juncture in our history, where we can't get away from it. We must be completely rethinking how we do anything in our society, because even if we didn't understand that we needed to move and make things more dynamic in this country, COVID has given us the ultimate opportunity to make things better.
All right.
I want to take a pause right now and ask you all to give a rousing round of applause. When we speak about Errol Barrow, we know that he could not do what he did without having a support system behind him. And walking through the door just now, 90 years strong. Sir Philip Graves, the only surviving member of the team that went to London and fought and proudly I declare my uncle. And no matter how people try to use him like a political football at the age of 90, he is demonstrating this evening with his feet and with his presence the direction he sees the Democratic We don't need any put together photo op. We don't need to have any of the theatrics that we have seen come through. This is a period in the time of Barbados when our people want the pure, cold, hard, unvarnished truth. 3 years we spent with a whole bunch of meaningless and empty slogans, and we have recognized that not one of them has ever translated to anything tangible for the development of our people. I'm not even going to repeat any of those slogans because you know how little they have meant in your life. You know and you understand that this is a time for action and decisive action at that. There is no time to be pussyfooting about and looking to curry favor with people. When our former leaders said Barbados is more than an economy, it is more than a society, it had meaning then, but it has so much currency now. As we walk this present administration, take our people in their hands and take the economy in their hands and make a most conscious decision that the economy trumps our people. And the only ones who can fix it and correct it are the very same people. Yes. Not the Democratic Labour Party, no. It is the people of Barbados who must fix it. Correct. The Democratic Labour Party's role in that is to be the leaders, to be the movers, to be the But at the end of the day, we must never lose sight of the fact that whatever we do has got to redound to the benefit of our people. Otherwise, we are wasting time. As more people say, spinning top in mud. And if there's ever a time that we have to make every second of our existence count, it is now. And I stand here in St. John, like Andre, feeling the weight of our forefathers. Errol Barrow set the tone and the season for independence. David Thompson set the tone and the season for considerations outside of the economy. Not just the statement that I spoke of just now, but you will recall families first. If you wish to parody him now, when we are ever so certain that our society's crumble coincided with that period in our history when we decided to look out for ourselves, you will understand what I am talking about. When he said crime and violence were issues, the other side made it into a cartoon. They literally laughed him to scorn. And twice, not once, twice under this present Attorney General, Barbados set most dubious records with the most murders. Twice. Under the last administration that the Barbados Labour Party had, and under this one. 2 times.
Backyard record.
All of that is simply a symptom of a much larger issue.
Amen.
That's right.
I know that I have held from some licks for speaking about a new Democratic Labour Party. And I also know that when I use the word new, I am not giving anybody the impression that I am inventing something. As far as I am concerned, the newness is because this country has faced the wrong way for too long. And we have to harness it and train it back. Not haul it back, because we're still dealing with people and their wills. And I will come to that later when I start to talk about vaccines. But we have to rethink almost every facet of our existence, and we cannot lose a moment in doing so. I have spoken long about education, and this evening will not be another moment for that. We have large and pressing issues. The only thing I will say about education is, as an aside, that they can't get that fixed, but they're real sure they can get a republic by November. All right. We stand here, well, I stand and you sit, and some of you are outside standing, on Emancipation Day. A large and momentous day for centuries in the lives of those of us whose ancestors had that experience, the negative experience. But we got this far by faith and works.
Amen.
And at some point in time, as far as I am concerned, and I say this without fear of contradiction, we did lose our way.
Amen.
The newness is the pulling us back onto that path that we lost, that we got off of, that we started thinking in a completely different way and forgetting that focus that built us up as a nation.
Amen.
As a nation,
Amen.
not as individuals, not as separate from one another, but leaning on one another and getting the strength from one another. And we are back at that point again. I was not alive in the 60s, but I watch and I see as things have slid backwards much further than when I can remember of.
All right.
I watch and I see how our people struggle for a day-to-day existence.
Oh my goodness.
I watch and I see how the idea and the thought of our people for the other administration seems only to be expressed in terms of how you can serve somebody else, but never in terms of how you can large up your own self, harness your own skills, push yourself out there on behalf of your family, and by doing so, improve your entire society. That is where we need to get back to. And this newly refocused Democratic Labour Party will pledge an annual conference because we recognize, unlike the other side, and I say this because one of the advisors to the Prime Minister in public said that a manifesto is not a contract with the people. What did you waste the paper for? Why did it disturb people's night rest if it was not intended to be a contract with the people? The Democratic Labour Party is going back to that position where it is the people who will be the focus of any policy This is where our country is at. This is what our country needs. Don't mind the pundits talking about how this present administration can't lose the next election. Somebody had them winning the 2013 election too by a landslide. And we washed them off because we still had work to be done. Our young team of the Democratic Labour Party, 26 candidates we have so far, and hopefully by annual conference we will have 29, if not all 30. But we don't want to rush, but we want to be deliberate. We want to be deliberate because these are moments. You walk Barbados, you stand up at the bus stop, you get on the bus with our people, and you can feel the sea change that is going on in this country. And we have the example of our sisters and brothers in St. Lucia to tell us we will be ready to run. Those are not empty words. And let me tell you why they're not empty words. Mia Motley used to be a member of this party. She knows how in here runs. It is not a mistake that a by-election was announced in the middle of August. To the end of August, because we were supposed to have annual conference end of August. We had put machinery in place for candidate selection. And we learned in that by-election process that it could be triggered and completed in 48 hours and present a credible candidate to the people of St. George North. And so credible that we can't hear the pundits come out and speak to the fact that the Barbados Labour Party lost so much support in that by-election, from 80% to 66% of the vote they got. We can't hear them talk about the fact that the Democratic Labour Party doubled its support in that by-election. They thought they were springing it on us and we were ready. If we were ready for that, take my word for it. We are ready for them whenever. All the call to reveal a list of candidates, and we must tell them who is running. You in St. John knew who was running before we had any announcement publicly, because he was out there working and people could see him on the ground. And those are the people who will be voting for Andre Worrell. They are the ones who have to see Andre Worrell doing work. And I know he's doing work because I went with him, because that is my job too. Not just to bring home St. Lucie, and thank you very much for all. My St. Lucie people, as the DJs would say, are in the house. And you all know they have to have no announcement in St. Lucie, because the people from east to west and north to south know who is on the ground and working in St. Lucie. And we say it, repeat it across those 26 constituencies that have named candidates. And I can tell you, in some of those others that have not been named yet, they're still out there working, even though the party hasn't said, yes, it is you. Because that is the level of commitment that we have, that they are willing to put in the work. And even if it is not them, they are willing to pivot and put in the work behind whoever it is the party says it is. Because that is how we work. We are not here in the Democratic Labour Party for any cutthroat business. We are here that we know the service. That is not our business in here. That's right. We are working. I saw a young man in here earlier who can tell you how advanced we are with our manifesto. So much work has gone into thinking deeply about what is needed to rescue this country from the morass and the quagmire that it has descended into in the last 3 years. All right. Just 3 years. Don't mind all of their foolish talk. It takes them 3 years to mash up this country. COVID gave them an out, and they can't even figure out how to use that properly. This economy was in a recession before COVID. They defaulted on loans, and that will continue to burn us for a long time in more ways than one. It damaged our reputation. 1 and 2, my children's children will be paying for that. Your children's children will be paying for that. At a time when we have the highest unemployment figures ever, and I'm not talking about the polished numbers that we get, because obviously there's been some miscounting that you could know personally so many people who are unemployed, and they could come and tell you 72%. It makes no sense. You live in this life. You live in these villages. You know who these people are, and you know it is not a realistic figure. You know, and you know that on top of those who are not working, there are those who are working so little that it is their dedication only that gets them out of bed. Because by the time they finish with 350 one way, and that's for those who are not from St. Lucie and have to catch 2 buses to get anywhere at all. And I know St. John has that problem too.
That's right, true.
You know that forced poverty that we are in. Even professions that you would expect to do well anyway, somebody has to pay you.
Amen.
You know how pressed you are to make that money work in your household. And then you get totally and utterly disrespected by being told you got to pay for vaccine, you got to pay for tests, you don't have the money to put food on your table. I was reading in today's the UN is recognizing that in Barbados people are skipping meals in order to make ends meet. Those are the stories that I heard my grandparents talk about after the war years. I must borrow another expression from another leading light of the party. How did we get back here again?
All right.
How? When under the last Democratic Labour Party administration that they love to pillory, when under the last administration there was a need to send civil servants home, our Minister of Labour, Esther Bayer-Suku, spent time, came up with a plan, extended the qualification for unemployment benefits, knowing that it would be hard to get back another job, but so you would have some crutch to lean on until such time as you could do better.
All right.
When this country had less than this present administration boasts of having, and they did the exact opposite. They made it hard for you to get your severance to the point where some can't get it yet. Some of our people have not worked since March last year. Their unemployment benefits ran out long time. Long time. And a hamper in January, February was done and dusted. And I don't understand why they think that you should be grateful that they spent your money on you. Because if there's one thing they have consistently done is carry up the taxes. That is your money spent on you. And then we come to this situation with vaccines. And I am going to make an open declaration. I am fully vaccinated. It is a choice I made for myself. My own mother was skeptical, and I put her in the way of information so that she could make an informed decision for herself. Because if there is one thing that I appreciate about this entire COVID situation, is that we are in a state of flux. We don't know enough about this disease to be making any emphatic statements about it. This is a time when leadership stands out. A leader does not need to bully. A leader does not need to force. A leader does not need to mandate. A leader would have put this country's people in the way to get the right information. In either February or March last year, I'm looking at my young technical team. I want you all to take a moment and congratulate the young Democrats. They are hardworking and dedicated. And when the likes of me have moved off the scene, I am satisfied that this party will be in the best I have experienced, I have worked with their commitment, and I can say that openly. This party has a rich, a vibrant, and a committed future. But I looked at them just now because they worked in that roast. We have a Sunday roast where we stopped roasting the government and switched into education mode and brought in a virologist so that he could explain to the people of Barbados what COVID was all about and how the vaccine could likely help. We are not in government, but we understand what leadership calls for. We did that. We, without the resources of the state, put the information in the way of the people of Barbados. But this administration, after parading a bunch of influencers, and pantomiming and showing themselves taking a vaccine, as though that was enough to sway our learned, our educated, and our dedicated people who know how to find information. Unfortunately, the way that the world is now, there is as much misinformation out there as there is information. But we also have to be honest and admit that science has had to shift over time, because this virus has shifted over time, and it is not as hard and fast as they would make us believe. When you say that you have 25 persons in isolation who are vaccinated fully, who contracted COVID, you then have to have a completely different response to the people of Barbados, even if you remain convicted that vaccination is the way to get a handle on this pandemic. Even if you remain committed to running the economy, regardless of how it affects the people, even if your main, if not sole objective is to grab along on the almighty dollar, even if you're strangling the people of Barbados, even if those are your stated objectives, or even if they're the objectives that you have but you don't say out loud. How could you, in a climate such as that, even countenance forcing people to be vaccinated? Whatever happened to treating our people like humans? When did our levels of decency sink so low? So low that we think that one person could push an agenda to that point. And the total and utter disappointment at the poignant and definite silence of the labor unions and their pussyfoot about this issue. I see the private sector standing up for their constituents. Where are those labor leaders who drive you on the streets in 2017? When another great leader of ours that I am satisfied history will be kind to told you that anytime the lion and the lamb can lie down together, the lion.
Yes, we're good.
Where are they now for those workers who are being told, without it being put in so many words, we will not roster you for work if you are not vaccinated. We will not roster you for work if you don't submit to be tested. And what's more, you have to pay from your $340 a week minimum wage that you have to subtract out your bus fare, that you have to feed your children, that we are in a summer vacation and you have to kick them out for school next year because the clearly insisted they must go in person, that you have to skip a meal in order to get through to tomorrow because there is no other future that you feel. Where are our leaders? Into that void will step and walk the Democratic Labour when I talk. Because our founding fathers stood up, spoke up, fought up. That's right. Emancipation Day on the backs and the blood of the likes of Buster. Our riots, out of whom we got so many of our national heroes. Our labor movement, when it understood its mandate to make life better for our workers. Our independence team that stepped on foreign, unfamiliar, and dangerous soils because they were black in a white country at a time when they were hated for the color of their skin. Bring it. Our forefathers who fought long and hard are now sitting on our shoulders, Democratic Labour Party comrades like Jiminy Cricket, insisting in our ears that this is the time that once again we must stand up for our people. It's not time to be looking for stardom in a leader. I am not interested in being a star. This is not Hollywood. This is the lives of real, living, breathing, hurting people in our country. This is a time that calls for that personal sacrifice to ensure that as a collective, our people come out on the other side of this experience so much better than they were before. This is the calling that I feel. I do not want to be the star. So for all of those who feel to compare me, remember Star's pitch. A leader knows when to lead from the front, and a leader understands when to lead from the back. If you watch a shepherd, he is at the back, corralling in his sheep. There will be moments when you have to step forward, but most of our journey is in and out and round about with our people. It is on the ground, like Andre is in St. John. It is a time that this country understands that its destiny is literally in the hands of its people. You do not have to watch. You do not have to sit idly by and accept the abuse and the disrespect that somebody could tell you in May, in April, that they're setting up a commission to look into the Republic. Let me go back further. They spoke about it in the throne speech. Radio silence. Radio silence for near 9 months. Almost September again. September is next month, you know. And then we have not seen a report from that Williams commission that was set up. We have, however, seen the letter asking the private sector for their opinions on the Republic. Nobody has asked you.
Exactly.
And then to come and have the temerity on the day of national significance, when our minds should be on the sacrifice and the blood that was shed in 1937 by our forefathers to make sure that we were never in a position for people to be forcing things down our throat again. The next, not a plantation system that we're living in. And on the day of national significance, you disrespect the people of Barbados by telling them that a report from a whole generation ago, a report that said let's go to referendum, a report from a whole generation ago. My daughter can vote and she was not born in 1998. She has no idea about the Ford Commission and what it entails. And you could come and say, we are going to become a republic on Independence Day. You recognize the full import of the erasing of our history.
Right. Controversy is there.
Do you get it?
I will refer.
Do you understand that we must question motive whenever you can't trust? And that trust is most assuredly broken now.
Amen. Very much so.
How can you? I recognize at least one other lawyer in the building. There may be others, but he is within my eyesight. And you want to bring a republic? You want to bring a republic in 3 months? You want to bring a republic in 3 months to name a president? And you don't have any guiding document to tell you how to name a president? Because that must be enshrined within the very constitution that you say you do deal with after. If ever there was a time that cart before the horse had
Right now.
and then you understand and appreciate how certain themes, including the role of the Governor General, whom you are looking to make redundant, how the role of the Governor General, whether we may call her a figurehead, is integral in every single council that is set up in our Constitution. The civil service, the police service, and I'm just naming two. How can you name a president when we don't have a document telling us the criteria to qualify to be a president? All right then. Because that would be in the Constitution. Or are we to believe that once again, because let's be fair, let's be reflective. Already once they changed legislation to make sure that one person, prime minister, can make laws in this country under emergency powers, and we have not been under anything but emergency powers since then. So are we to believe then that a one man will pick a president, will decide who holds the highest office of the land before we even decide what type of president we want? I have been involved in politics since my teens. And if there is one undercurrent that I am feeling right now, it is that the people of Barbados want a greater say in their destiny. People of Barbados have a right to consider that they don't want a figurehead president. People of Barbados have a right to consider how deep, how far, how wide they want these constitutional changes to be.
That's right.
This is only the second time in our history that we get to speak to the kind of people that we want to be.
All right.
And we want a document that will be enduring, that centuries from now, this momentous period will be studied and understood, that more than one person made these decisions on behalf of the 280,000 plus people who reside here. The Democratic Labour Party is on record supporting the move to a republic. Never in our wildest dreams did we contemplate and expect that it would be done in the vacuum and the silence of not hearing the voice and the input of the people on whose lives it will stand and imprint. It cannot be.
It will not be.
It must not be.
It will not be.
And the Democratic Labour Party is committed starting from tomorrow at to the people of Barbados, because that is just the first one planned. Stick a pin, stay tuned, because at headquarters tomorrow, we will be speaking to the people of Barbados directly about what a republic means, about what their options are. We will step into the void.
All right.
If your present government is not serving you, put them out. We
36 months and
are committed to educating our people. We are committed to allowing you to have a say in your destiny, because it is the only right and proper route to take. Don't tell me about a report from 1998. Back in 1998, that likely was typed on a typewriter. I watch my children speak their assignments and the words come out. We live in a whole different world, not even in the contemplation of anybody on that commission at the time. We live in a whole different world that looked different in February 2020, March 2020, never mind August of 2021.
all right.
And those shocking and dynamic changes tell us that the document that we create must have a built-in resilience, not a built-in redundancy. Don't tell me about a document from 1998. This is the time that our people must stand up, must get up. If your leaders that you chose, and I am not ever putting the blame on anybody in Barbados, because it was an excellent campaign that was run to destroy the Democratic Labour Party. But they didn't understand that these roots go so far down that when you cut and you think that you have poured oil on the trunk stump, you have seen it happen in nature. The shoots start to come up fresh. And that stump of the tree holds those shoots upright. That stump of the tree becomes a much broader base for the tree that grows out. And the gardeners among you will know that there may be times that you have to prune, or that a branch falls off, or a storm passes and what looks like a strong limb is hanging, if not totally disconnected from the tree. But the tree lives on. And despite the experience of 2018, I am pleased that my comrades did not spend all their time licking their wounds,
All right.
but got up and worked and built back this party to a point where we could credibly represent in a election. And give hope and courage and countenance to our people one more time. That even though they are not being serviced at this moment, it is for us now to show them that the Democratic Labour Party is ready again. Ready again. To pick up the mantle and walk the length and breadth of this country from North Point in St. Lucie to Culpeper Island. I don't even want to stop short at the course. From out by the flour mill all the way over to the furthest point of St. Joseph and everything in between, that the Democratic Labour Party's message is once again ringing and resounding in the ears and of our people. Our future is bright, not just as a party. Our future is bright as a country. We just have to wrest it back from those who would hold you down and knee in the neck of your development. Get up, get up, get up, Democratic Labour Party.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is now your opportunity, your chance to ask any question you want to ask of Madam President, candidate Andrew Ward, or even the committee members. So feel free to ask if there are any questions, any queries, any queer things. Please feel free to ask.
Can we see if we can get election call before November 30th?
Not the way our Constitution is presently written. Not the way our Constitution is presently written.
We have a constitution that says